Hey everyone, Sandy here from Bella Rose Quilts. I am doing a really fun tutorial for you guys. I'm totally in love with Prissy Pumpkins. She did an excellent job on this pattern. However, there are a ton of little pieces and my customers were finding it a little intimidating. So I started recording it as I was making it. My quilt is done with Cozy Up by Corey Yoder of Coriander Quilts. I do have kits available at bellarosequilts.com. I also have the seam align glue or anything else that you may need. I do have it in stock. We thank you for supporting our small business. And hopefully I've included a lot of good tips. The main thing you want to do is stay organized. Heather's done a great job writing the pattern. It's very concise. You really can't go wrong. But hopefully this is a good add-on to the pattern to help you make it. So the first video is Pumpkin 1, and let's get started. So this is block 1 of Prissy Pumpkins by Heather Briggs of My So Quilty Life. The important part of making this quilt is your organization as you make each block, because there's 4 different blocks and you make 4 of each block. So this is block 1, and I showed you one of the block 1s. This is also block 1. So this is my last block 1 that I need to make. So what she's done is she's given you a really nice chart, which I can't show you, but it's very well laid out and it's colored. So all of your background strips are highlighted in white, and the bow strips are highlighted in orange, and the pumpkin is highlighted in blue. So what I've done is these are my 3 pumpkins, block K. And what I'm going to do on block K is I'm going to lay them out. And I'm going to take a block G, and I'm going to put one on each corner. But first I'm going to draw a line across each one, or you can use whatever tool you prefer. Sometimes it's easier to draw the line on another piece of fabric because it grips it. Okay, now I did those. I'm going to actually only need 2 of the big ones. So I'm going to take my Acorn precision glue, and I'm going to glue it to the left block. I'm going to glue it on here. It just makes it so much easier to sew it on and you're not dealing with pins. This is the center block. And I'm going to put one out here. G. And then we're going to put I'm going to put the rest of my G's back. Then I'm going to take my H. And these are really teeny babies. And H, I'm going to draw my line from here. And you're going to do it on 4 of H's. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue here. It's easier for me if I put it on the fabric than it is if I put it on the little square. And I will just stick it on. I line it up with the edges, just like that. Oops. I guess I pressed too hard. It came through and stuck to my finger. So now I have all of these glued together, and I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew across here, 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 and here, right on the line. Okay, now I'm going to just press these closed, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to press them to the sides. And stick our little clappers on them. So I'm going to do this one first. And do this one. And this one. This one. Okay. Okay, so now we've had these ironed. I'm going to cut this off. Some people like to press these open, and if that's the case, then you cannot use the glue. You will have to pin them on. Just trimming these off. So we have our little one in the middle, and we have the big ones in the corner, like this. And we have to sew these three together. And so when you sew them together, you can see that your seams are going in the same direction. I don't know. Can you see that okay? So I can see that this one's a little bit longer. So if I flip this little seam up and pull it up and butt those together, it lines them right back up. I do like to work a lot with my seams butting up against each other. So I'm going to pin that, and I'm going to pin the end. Pin up here. And then I'm going to pin in the middle. And then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line these two up like this, and I'm going to press this one up so that they butt. I'm just going to repress them. You never know how they're going to line up until you press them. And it only takes a second to redo it. Okay, 1, 2. I'll set this aside so I can show you the next step, which is going to be part L and G. Here's G, which I already drew the lines on, and L rectangles. These are not L rectangles, so here they are. L rectangles. So I'm going to lay out my two G's, and I'm going to put one here and one here, and I'm going to glue them down just like I did before. It's hard to see the right and wrong side of this fabric. I'm thinking that okay, and then we're going to do the same thing here. Of course, I drew that one on the wrong side too. And those are your two L's. And then you're going to take these two and you're going to go to the sewing machine and sew on that line. And then you're going to sew your 2 C's on top of that, which are 2 C backgrounds. I should have that closer. Right here. Let me see the right side. Anyway, they're going to be sewn onto this. So let's go sew those together. It's harder to start in the corner because sometimes this will get pulled down in your machine. I do have a straight needle hole, straight stitch plate. So the only thing that can go through there is my needle, but it helps a lot to just start on the top there. If you don't have a knee lifter, you should try using it. I also have the hover command on my machine. That helps as well. Press and close. Over here. Let's move this up here. And then on these, see, I just pressed that one down that I turned, and you can look on the other side and you can see how they're perfectly lined up. Do the same thing here. And then I'm going to flip it over, open it. Sometimes I press my seams open and sometimes I do not. So it just depends on what I'm working on. Let's see if I get that open all the way. Okay. Let's make sure we don't have any pleats in here. So you can see how nicely those points line up. And then we have these 2. So let's go back to the cutting table. This is our L rectangle, and I'm just going to trim these off. And I'm going to trim. Make sure you always trim on the outside and not the inside. And we've all done it wrong. So, and here's our little pumpkin bottom. And this is going to go here and here. And then this is going to go here and here. So what I'm going to do now is find the right side of my fabric. And I'm going to pin it here and here. I pin on each end and then I pin in the middle. Okay, we have those 2 ready to go to the sewing machine. This one we're going to set aside. Next, we're going to work on the bow, which is the yellow fabrics. And it takes a fabric eye, takes 2 eyes, and it takes 1 J, but that's not the right J. So here's my 2 eyes, and get one that's not wrinkled. My 2 eyes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an E, and I'm going to put an E on the inside corners. An E here and an M here. So these are my 2 E's. And my 2 M's are going to be colored fabrics. So on these eyes right here, this eye and this eye, on the upper right corner, I'm going to put this there, and I'm going to draw a line, diagonal line, corner to corner on block E. I'm going to put some glue here. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Yeah, my acorn glue is well loved. My dog bit into it, so I didn't want to waste it. And then down here, we have our M, which is the same color as our pumpkin. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw a line, corner to corner. And we're going to put it here and here. I like to just put my finger on the corner and hold it down and then line up the edges. Lines right up. Hold it down with my finger, line up the edge. Oh, yeah, that's right. So those are on, and I'm going to sew on the line here, and I'm going to put that in my sewing pile. Okay, so we're back. We just sewed these two. I sewed these two. Now we're going to go sew this, and this together. So that's what we have underneath here. This is what we just sewed. I'm going to cut the corners off. I'm going to cut the corners off this. Put it back down. It's the bow. Okay, so I just trimmed all of these off and I put them back here. This can be confusing. Make sure you get these on the right side. And then next, we're going to have our O, which is our stem. And we're going to take our E and we're going to sew a line. We're going to mark a line across it. Make sure I have the right side. And it's going to go on the upper right side like this. I'm going to stick my glue here. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to sew that. Next I have my J, which is going to go on the end of that, but I'm not going to do it now. And we have our N, which is going to go underneath the J. And then we have our M's. So let's go and sew this on and we'll come back. Okay, so now this is the stem and the stem is your O. I'm going to put some glue across here and I have drawn my line and I'm going to glue this on here. Line it all up and then I'm going to sew the seam. So I sewed it and I pressed it, and I'm going to trim this off. Trim off my little threads here. And my O is going to go here. I have my two D's, and my D's are going to be sewn on each of these, each of my bow units. pin on each end. Then I'm going to take this, I'm going to sew it to this, my stem. And I'm going to sew these all three together. Okay, so I've pressed the D's onto the top of my bow. I pressed the bow center on the bottom of my stem, and now I have to press my N right here, and that's the top of the pumpkin here. Okay, so now we have this part together. We're going to sew this to this, and we will come back. Okay, so I pressed my seams towards the solid block on both of these, and on this I pressed all of my seams down, but I want to take a look at this. So you can see that these are going to line up. You're going to have to line these two up together when you sew them together. So what some people do is they will come down 1/4 of an inch and mark a line. If it helps you, do it on both sides. And you're going to stick your pin in here. And you're going to, I can see through it, but I can see that it's there. And I line it, and I kind of hold that pin perpendicular. And then I'm going to stick a pin like this and a pin like this. And I remove that one. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go through that, hold that straight up and down. And if you put the pin in like this or like this, you're just going to twist it so that they don't line up. But if you just hold it like that and do this, everything is going to stay nice and flat. Okay. And then we're going to line these two up and these two up. And then I'm going to go sew these together real quick like. So you can see how flat, how those match. And on the back, I did press my seams open a little bit. And so now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to draw my lines. Once you get more experienced, you won't have to draw the lines because you know what 1/4 of an inch, where that falls. And line it up. Put a pin in here, a pin in there. Hold it straight up and down. Put your pin like this. Ouch! Don't poke yourself. I'm going to go down here. We're going to do the same thing here. Just kind of hold it there. I just kind of pinch it together. It looks a little awkward doing that, but it's awkward because I'm holding it away from me. So here and here, I had no problem there at all. Those matched up just fine, and they should match up. But again, you can draw your 1/4 of an inch mark here. And then on this side, you'll want to do the same thing. Get that thread out of the way. And again, you're going to do the same thing. Just mark, put the pin in, put the pin in, squeeze it together right there. There you go. I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to pin this. Okay, I'm going to go sew it together. Of course, the pins are... So now we have this stem together with the bow, and here's the bottom half. And what we need to do now is just sew these two on. And then we're going to put the sashing around it. So let me sew these two on real quick, like. Go ahead. So we have these sewn together, and what I've done is I pressed it this way. You can see my pressing sequence. And I'm just going, there's no seams to match up. I'm just going to pin the ends and pin in the center. So here's our cute little Prissy pumpkin. I'm going to take 2 bees and I'm going to sew one on each side. This is the sashing. Make sure right sides are together. One here. And one over here. And I'm just going to sew and iron those. So I have sewed the left and the right sashing on. I just wanted, oops, anyway, that shouldn't have flipped up. I just wanted to show you that I did press this down because there's not much down here. And then I pressed these seams out towards the sashing. Gotta repress that. So now I'm gonna sew the top and the bottom sashing on, which is A and A. And all of my fabric is starched, if I didn't say that sooner. A and A. And I will sew these on. Right sides together. Be right back. Okay, and I'm back with block 1, all nice and square. And pressed. You can see how I press it. And we will go on to block number 2. Join us over on video 2. Prissy Pumpkins.